All right, so this is the last section of the guidance for the final project, and this is really about doing the finishing touches. So once you've written the content of your method, results, and discussion, you need to go back through and do some proofreading and make sure you've got your APA style and formatting in order. And so I wanted to give you some feedback on that. So first, make sure that you have made the changes that I suggested in response to your introduction. So you submitted that before break. You've gotten feedback on that. Take a look at the feedback and make those changes. Again, the introduction may have been written with a different dependent variable in mind. If you want to change your hypotheses, you can, but for now, what I'm looking for is that you've made the appropriate changes and not that it necessarily is all about happiness. You also should have gotten feedback on your method section. So if you got feedback on that, then you should go ahead and make those changes too to make sure that your final product is as perfect as you can get it. Another thing to do is review APA style guidelines on Moodle. So this paper should be in APA style. So this includes the formatting, this includes the in-text citations and references, and this includes headings and subheadings. So I'm going to show you some examples, but I also want to make sure you know this is our Moodle page, and in the final project information, I've got the PowerPoint that we went over before break, which has a bunch of APA stuff in terms of in-text citation, the references page, and the formatting. I've got an example APA paper here, and then this is a link to the Purdue OWL website, which is a complete APA guide. So take advantage of those, and if you don't know how to cite something, look it up. You have all the resources you need, you just need to mirror them and apply it to your own paper. Also, you may not use direct quotes for any part of this paper, so make sure that you have paraphrased appropriately, cited your sources, but not using direct quotes. Okay, so these are some things to kind of go through as a checklist to make sure before you submit your final paper. It needs a title page. It needs an abstract. I'm going to go through an example to show you how to do some of the formatting, but the abstract should be the last thing that you write. It should be basically 1 to 2 sentences summarizing each section of your paper. So 1 to 2 sentences on your introduction, method, results, and discussion, total of about 150 to 200 words. You also need a references list. You also need to include the table and figure after the references page. So make sure you have all of these components before you submit your final paper. Okay, so this is an example paper. This is just to kind of help you with the formatting. This is a finished paper, but I'm going to go through and delete some things to help you show you how to do things. So on the title page, you should have no fancy fonts, no graphics. It should all be Times New Roman size 12. A title that relates to your topic, your name. You can put the college or not, but it should be centered on the page. Another thing that you need is to have the headers correct. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Now, one thing you need to have, and I'm not sure whether Zoom will let you see it. Let me make this not full screen. Okay, so in order to get the headings in APA format, you need to have this different on first page checked, okay? And that means that you can have the words running head on the first page and it will not put it automatically on the rest of the page. So this is, I'm clicked in my header, the rest of the paper is grayed, and that will enable me to check different on first page up here. Okay, the next thing I want to do is insert a page number. So if I'm on this header tab, I can go to page number. We want it on the top right corner of the page. So it inserts it right there. Now we also need some text. So we need the words running head, a colon, and then the actual running header is a shortened version of your title. It shouldn't be the full title. It should just be keywords. So this paper is titled The Halo Effect. Let's just call this Halo Effect. Okay, so note that the word running ahead, only the R is capitalized. The actual running header is all in caps. Now, The running head should be all the way to the left. The actual page number should be on the right. So if I insert the page number first, like I showed you, type in the running head. When I hit tab twice, it makes my running head on the left and my page number on the right. Okay, and what we'll see is, since I said I checked different on first page, I have the word running head on the first page, but it didn't show up on my next page. So I have to do the same thing on my second page. Now on my second, once I do it for the second page, it will be consistent on the rest of the paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert my page number again. So up here on the left in the header and footers tab, I want it at the top of the page. And in here, this time for the rest of the paper from page 2 on, you do not need the words running head, you just need the actual running header. And so the running head is halo effect. I'm gonna hit tab twice and it should get it all the way over to the left. I click out of my header and now I can see that from page 2 on, I have the running head and the page number there. It's formatted correctly. Note that it's all on the same line. And so that is how you get that corrected. Okay. Next, the second page of your paper. So once you have your title page, you should insert a page break. This will ensure that you have your abstract starts on a new page, which it should. So you can go to Insert and Page Break. That will put a page break there and bring you to the next page. Okay, so oops, I think because this person already had a page break, that gives us an extra page. So the abstract should start on page 2. Here we go. Okay, the abstract, the word abstract is centered. The abstract is the only paragraph that is not indented. So make note of that. The abstract again is 150 to 200 words, short summary of your paper. Write this the very last thing after you've written the rest of your paper. 1 or 2 sentences, summary for each thing. It should be its own page, and that's pretty much it. It should be pretty straightforward to write. So that's the second page of your paper is your abstract. When you finish your abstract, at the end of your abstract, you want to go ahead and insert another page break, because your actual paper starts on page 3 and it should be at the beginning of the new page. Okay, so here we've got a page break. It's page 3. This should actually be indented. Okay, so note the heading for the introduction of your paper is not actually introduction. The heading for the introduction of the paper is the title of the paper. Okay, so you just copy and paste it from your title page. It's not bold. This is kind of the one exception to the header rule. It's the same as the title of your paper. So this should start on page 3. You have all of your paragraphs indented by a 1/2 inch. So make sure your paragraph's indented a 1/2 inch. The introduction doesn't need subheadings. Make sure you only have, 1 return between paragraphs. You don't have extra lines between paragraphs or between sections of the main body of your paper. Okay, so note that at the end of this person's introduction, their method starts on the next line. This is how it should be. So method is the next section. Note that the word method and results and discussion will be formatted the same way, is centered and bold. Okay, but we have some subsections in our method section. So participants, design, measures, and procedures are all subsections within the method section. So method is a level 1 heading. Participants is what we call a level 2 heading. And so participants is left aligned. It's not indented, but it is bold. And then you start the new paragraph on the next line. So make sure you have those subheadings within your method section and you have that formatted appropriately. Okay. And then results, same formatting as method, centered, bold, and so on. Discussion, Same thing, okay? Now, your references starts on a new page. So when you finish your references, or when you finish your paper, you're going to insert another page break. So at the end of your paper, you're going to go ahead and go up here, insert a page break so that your references starts on a new page. Okay, note that references, actually for some reason in APA formatting, references is not bold, but the heading of your references page is references. It should not be called works cited, it's references. Your references page, we've talked about how to format your references. One thing that students sometimes have a problem with is this hanging indent. So your references should be in alphabetical order by the first author's last name. The first line of each reference is all the way to the left, but the next line is indented. So the way that you do that is by messing with your ruler up here. Now you may need to go to View and select to view the ruler if your ruler isn't automatically showing up. So View and Ruler if it's not there already. But generally, the way these are formatted, the way your ruler is formatted, is you have these two kind of hourglasses lined up. To get the hanging indent, you're going to click on the bottom triangle and move it over a ½ inch. That means that the first line will be left aligned and every other line will be indented a ½ inch. I think there's a couple other ways that you can do this, but I wouldn't recommend that you manually insert tabs to move it over because that can create problems. Make sure you have the names formatted correctly. You have the capitalization of the article title and the journal and the volume italicized, page number, things like that. Okay, so that's your references. And then you also, if you've watched the results and discussion video, there's mention of tables and figures. Those are the very last thing. So they each go on their separate page. So after you finish your references, you're going to insert a page break, put the table from the PowerPoint, and then you're going to insert another page break and put the figure from the PowerPoint. Okay, so these are kind of the final things that you need to do along with proofreading and things like that. But hopefully this will help with your formatting issues and address some of the questions or concerns.